There is a common belief out there that if you are constantly available and accessible, that is what makes you a good leader. And it makes you think that you are in control. However, if you can't disconnect, you're not in control. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. If you're new here, I'm Zoe Thompson, and I help leaders to be more efficient and more effective and create and build a self-sufficient, confident and resilient team so that they can go home on time. They don't have to log on at weekends, and they can take a big week off. Zero work, zero stress, zero guilt, because they know they've got a team that can handle their absence and keep things going well while they're away. So this is what I wanted to talk about today. It is a common misconception. I hear it from clients all the time that they feel they've learned that being accessible, being available is what makes good leaders. That's what a good leader looks like. Your phone buzzes and you immediately respond. You think this level of responsiveness is what makes you valuable and what is putting you in control. But if you can't disconnect, you're not in control. The team is in control. They control when you respond. They are controlling when you work. They are controlling when you're available. And if you have created this dependency, then it is you that is keeping yourself trapped. So this is about you changing your mindset so that you rethink what good looks like at the level that you are now leading. Now, a lot of leadership development teaches you to manage your overwhelm, and I'm trying to help you to eliminate it entirely. Conventional wisdom, if you like, says that good leaders are available, they're always responsible. It's reactive leadership that keeps you trapped. It's reactive leadership that is creating the overwhelm. And if we can shift from reactive leadership to intentional leadership, then that overwhelm not only reduces, you're likely to remove it altogether. The illusion is that being available is being in control. And I'm here to tell you that the opposite is true. And I've got some frameworks that will help you to shift it. If you think that being constantly available means that you are in control, I hate to break it to you, it isn't. As I said, it's your team that are controlling you. They're controlling when you switch on into that work headspace. What control actually looks like is your team being able to operate without you being in the room. Is systems working when you're not there? And boundaries that protect your time and your team's capability. Lack of control is when you can't take a meeting without checking your phone. You've got a member of staff comes in to talk to you, something that's really important to them. They're asking for 5 minutes of your time and your computer is pinging, the IMs are pinging, your phone is pinging, and you can't focus your attention on that member of your team who have asked for just 5 minutes of your time. Can't have dinner without thinking about work tomorrow. You can't go a weekend without logging on because you're logging on a Saturday morning to catch up and you're logging on a Sunday evening to try and get ahead of the week. This is not what control looks like. This is not intentional leadership. My question to you is whether or not you're leading from the front or leading from the center, because there is a difference. And if you're leading from the center, you're in the middle of everything. Every decision needs to come through you at the center of the hub. When we lead from the front, we're setting the direction, we're clearing the obstacles, we're developing the capability and the ability of our team. We have this smooth operating system that means that everybody knows what they need to do. Everybody is showing up for what they need to do. And we have a high-performing team that are accountable, responsible, and doing what they need to do at that high level. So if you're finding that you can't disconnect, there is a strong possibility you are leading from the center, and that is what is trapping you where you are right now, and it is what is creating that overwhelm. Now, I've worked with clients who have felt like this. They've felt the overwhelm. They've been fighting to keep control of everything that's going on, and they haven't been in control at all. And I've worked with clients who feel like this. It's very real and it's very common, and it's very frustrating when you are stuck in it. But you can make that shift, and it won't necessarily happen overnight. Someone that I'm working with at the moment still took the laptop on holiday, but the win was that they only did the one bit of essential work that needed to be done. The rest of the time, they didn't log on. And we talked about the laptop being that security blanket because they are so used to taking the laptop on holiday with them. It felt scary leaving it behind. It felt out of control to leave it behind. But actually, they were very close to taking that big week off. They did the task that needed to be done, and their laptop went away for the rest of the week so they could enjoy the time with their family. It is a journey from moving and shifting your habits and your behaviors as a leader to move from reactive to intentional. It doesn't happen overnight because the habits and behaviors that have put you where you are now didn't happen overnight. It's going to take a little while to change, but it is absolutely possible to change them. But you've been doing this for a while. Your promotions, your success have been as a result of you being helpful, of you being available, of you being that go-to person. So it's hard to leave that behind because your brain has registered that this is actually what has made you successful. This is what good looks like. You jump in to solve the problems because you can. You jump in and make the decisions because you can. And the reason why you can is because you're good at what you do. And if we start to change that, we question whether or not we're still providing value, whether we're still showing our worth, whether we are still good at what we do. It feels helpful, it feels responsive, it feels valuable. And every time we reach in to rescue, because it's easy, because the solutions come to us, we're rescuing and we're building dependency rather than building capability of those that are on our team. And it is that dependency that means we need to keep being available. We need to keep being responsive. We need to keep being reactive in our leadership. So we can't disconnect because ultimately we have trained them to need us. So then we have a team that can't function without us, and we feel very valuable because we're needed, but we're not valuable with what matters, and we're not needed for the things that matter most. The performance flow framework is one of the tools that I teach the clients that I work with. And the challenge for a lot of people who are stuck in this space is that they are now in that fast lane, so in the accelerate lane, because it's reactive, it's fast paced, it's at the center of everything that is going on. When we have control, when we're more intentional in our leadership, we're moving into the sustain and maintain lanes. Slower pace, it's manageable, it's sustainable, and we're more effective. We can't sustain that constant availability, and eventually something breaks, and often it is you. So we need to make that change in the same way that we can't drive to a destination in that third lane. It's not safe, it's not sustainable, and there's no guarantee we're going to get where we're going in the way that we want to get there. We can't rely on that third lane being clear for us to make that run. We need to manage our time and our energy, and we need to move between those lanes. The accelerate lane has its purpose. It helps us to advance. It helps us to make that progress, but we can't stay there. So we need to manage our energy. And in the same way, we want to be available. We want to be accessible. We want to support and guide our teams, but we can't do it all the time because we have a whole list of things that we need to be focusing on. We have the work that we need to do, the work that we are accountable and responsible for. So we have to create a structure that means that we are still available and accessible, but in a way that doesn't compromise the things that we need to do too. Now, you may have heard me talk through my PIIPS framework. And as part of the PIIPS framework, we have a pillar on structure. Because it's all very well having a good plan. It's all very well having all of the details laid out. But unless we have a structure that enables all of that plan to happen, we struggle and things fall through the gaps. So that structure pillar is where you create your routines, your boundaries, and your systems. It's all of the things that you need to have in place to enable all of your plan to happen. It protects what matters most. And a strong structure will mean that you don't need to be constantly available. The system works without you. When we have a really good system, it means that we've got very clear expectations. Our team knows what decisions they can make. They're very clear on what the priorities are to enable them to make those decisions. They know what good looks like. They know what they need to deliver on, because that's all of the information that they need to enable them to make those decisions. It also means we have good, clear boundaries around when we're available and when we're not. And so we have systems and processes and people that can work without us being available to them 24/7. This helps our team to increase their capability to solve the problems themselves. When we're not available, they have to find alternative ways. They have to talk to each other. They have to support each other. They have to go elsewhere to try and find the answers. Now, we can get in front of that by making sure they have all of the information that they need to be able to do that. We can also create a safe space for them to learn, for them to grow and build their confidence to be able to do this without needing to come to us. As leaders, you need to have that time in your calendar to work on the things that you need to work on, to be able to have that focus time and work on your priorities. If you're in back-to-back meetings because everybody needs you in the room to be able to progress things forward, and you don't have time between those meetings to give yourself some thinking space and work on your priority tasks, or even the tasks that have come out of the meetings that you are in, sabotages your presence. You might be in the room, but you're mentally still in the meeting that you were in 10 minutes ago. You might be in the room and tasks are being allocated to you, but you're thinking about all of the tasks that are still on your to-do list from yesterday's meetings that you haven't got done yet. We need time to prepare for those meetings, and we need time to follow up those meetings. We don't just want a busy calendar. We want an effective calendar, one that gives us buffer time, one that gives us time to work on the priorities, one that gives us time to sit down and talk to our staff. And this is your structure. This is your routine, and this is why they are important. We have just started the most recent cohort of the Blueprint program. So we're in week 2 working on module 1, where we're looking at the time audit. We're looking at where people are spending their time. And we're already having conversations about where time is going, where it's being invested, where it is wasted. And one of the participants this week was talking about how they knew they felt overwhelmed by their calendar, and they thought it was a them problem. They thought it was their capability. Having done the audit, they realized back-to-back meetings, no buffer time, no time that is visible in their calendar to work on any priority tasks. Their calendar is controlling them. They are not controlling their calendar. So they are already starting to make some changes to release some time back and to protect the time that is really important. And that's just in the first module of the program. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else they change over the next few weeks as we continue to work together. I talk about the test being the big week off. The ultimate test of control is whether or not you can step away from your work for a week, having full confidence in the ability and capability of your staff. The big week off proves that you are effective, efficient, and in control as a leader. It proves that you've got people who are confident in your absence. They're capable in your absence. You've got systems that work without you. It proves that you're building a team of problem solvers, not people who are dependent on coming to you with every question and every decision that needs to be made. It proves that you are leading from the front and not from the center. And that should be the standard. Being able to take a week off without having to work, zero stress, zero guilt. That should be how it is. And if you can't hit that standard, then your structure isn't strong enough yet. And that's okay. That's a goal to work towards, but it's the metric that tells the truth about whether or not you're in control. It's the metric, in my opinion, that tells you whether or not you're efficient, whether or not you're effective, and whether or not you have created a team that is capable and confident, that you've got strong systems and you've got problem solvers that are ready to hold the fort in your absence. And that's what shows good leadership. You are bringing your team up to their full potential. You are enabling your team to be high performers. You are creating an environment where they can succeed. And then success feels as good as it looks. You go home on time and you don't need to worry. It's exciting when your team are empowered and they're taking those decisions and they are moving things forward. Now, if you can disconnect at the end of the day, You can go home not just on time when you said you would, but you can actually go home and be present. You don't need to check your phone in an evening. You don't need to log back on to just check to see if anybody's needed you. You're not taking phone calls late at night. You are going to be so much more efficient and effective because we know we need rest. We know we need sleep. We know we need downtime. And that is the level of control that feels like peace. We don't want that pressure. You are the leader. You are leading the team. So how do you start building real control? If you are currently in that space where you're working all hours, working weekends, taking your laptop on holiday and checking in and working every day, then how do you start to build that real control? So as a first step, audit your time. Use the AAA time framework to get very, very clear on where your time is going. It's the free download on the website. It is right there in a workbook for you to look at where your time is going and look at where you want your time to go. I've talked about the AAA time framework in other videos. It's 3 categories of time. Ascend time, your high value strategic actions that create the momentum. Your anchor time, which are your supportive tasks that help keep things moving forward. And then there's your avoid time. It's the reactive time, the draining behaviors, anything that is costing you. You don't get a return on that investment of your time, your energy, and your attention. Constant availability, that's most definitely avoid time. And it can feel like it's helpful. It can feel like it's you being a good leader. But ultimately, it doesn't help the whole team. It doesn't drive the team forward. It's not you horizon scanning and removing things that are coming your way. You're constantly firefighting. Feels important because you're responding, but it's draining because it's reactive. So real control is where you're protecting your ascend time and you are teaching your team to handle the anchor time and reduce the avoid time. Not just for you, for everybody. You're looking at a change of behavior and you're looking at a change of habits. So we have to create that pause so that we don't react automatically. The pause, that moment between something happening and you responding, is the difference between reacting and responding. And the difference between reactive leadership and intentional leadership is that gap in that pause. Pause. You can then prioritize. You can decide, is this urgent? Is it immediate? Does this need me? Does it need me right now? Or can we have a coaching conversation and for that person to go away and come up with the answer or work through it themselves or ask somebody else? We want to proceed with purpose. We want to respond intentionally and not react and not firefight. We need that pause to break the automatic pattern of doing what we've always done. If we want to shift from reactive to intentional, we have to have the pause. If we want to break the patterns of behavior, the pause is key. You need to force that pause. You need to ask yourself what is needed, not just for in this moment, but for the bigger picture as well. Answering the question, making the decision, resolving it in the moment. It solves the problem in the moment, but it creates a bigger problem further down the line. It forces and reinforces dependency. It doesn't build capability. We don't learn anything from answering questions that we already know the answer to. And they don't learn anything either. So it's a lose-lose situation. The more we can take a coaching approach to guide and support and help people to work things through, the less they need to come to us the next time. Our calendar needs to communicate our boundaries. Your calendar and what your calendar looks like is really important. You'll want to have your meetings in there. You also want to make sure that you are blocking out your priority time slots. The time slots where you get that priority work done, the times where you are available, and the times where you are not available because you are working on something important. Empty slots, that white space in your calendar, can suggest that you are available, that you are accessible. Make your calendar visible so people can see when you are working on the strategic work, on the plans, on the work that is the deep work. Your calendar will communicate your boundaries so that everybody can see it. It's important that you verbally communicate your boundaries. Your calendar needs to communicate those boundaries too. When are you available? When are you at home? When are you contactable? When are you offline? You might have some boundaries within your structure, like your meal break, like the time that you need to finish and be away, like the time that you are finished for the day, the fact that you're not available at certain times in the day or even on weekends. Your calendar should give the same message as what you verbally share with your team. These are simply some practical ways to change the way that you work to help you to take back control of your time and your energy. For you to really make this shift, there's two elements to tackle. There's the structure and the way that you work. There's also the mindset. What do you believe is true? What do you believe good leadership looks like? What do you believe in control looks like? When you start to shift from feeling that in control is being available, that a good leader that provides value and worth is being accessible, when you step away from that and you start to believe that a good leader is somebody who helps develop the capability of their staff. They help their teams to reach their full potential. They create an environment where teams can work at that high performing level. When you start to make that shift, it will show up through your habits and through your behaviors. Creating some structural changes, some surface level changes will help start to shift that mindset. That's where the big change happens. We want surface level changes and we want identity and belief level changes as well. And that big week off, that's your test. That's your evidence of intentional leadership. That's your evidence that you are creating a team of high performers. That's your evidence that you've got credible, confident, resilient people within your team that are developing, growing, and evolving. That is the test. You get to have a great holiday at the same time. I'd love to know what's resonated with you in this video. I'd love for you to share your light bulb moment. You can comment below. I'd love to hear what's resonated with you. And as a result, what will you take away and do differently? How will you implement this in your leadership in the coming days and weeks? I'd love to hear how you are taking the learning and turning it into action. If the video has been of value to you, I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss out on these videos and the podcast that comes out every week. There are lots more videos like this on the channel, so do feel free to have a scroll through and see what videos are of interest to you. And if you want more than the free resources, you are very welcome to come and join us in the leadership community. Every month we have a workshop. And every month we have a group coaching call and we have WhatsApp support in between to support you on your leadership journey. It's continuous professional development as well as support and accountability, which is so important for leaders. You're very welcome to come and join us there. The next program isn't until September, but you can join the waiting list. And if you want to talk to me about coaching, then pop me a message or book in a call via the website and I would love to have a chat with you. I will be back with another video very soon.